So ladies and gentlemen, and all my leaders in this room, and my esteemed speakers, I formally welcome you all to this grand event, the HR and XS Summit Future Scope. Before I begin this particular conversation and the discussion that we're gathered here for, I think it's important for me to take a couple of learnings from the session we had in the morning, where Ashish and the esteemed speakers had set the tone for the day. Future Scope, as the summit is, I think is to take a quick sneak peek into the future, the emerging trends that are shaping the future of workplace and the mankind. As the speaker spoke, I have taken some important notes, and these are pretty interesting, though we did not tell them that we're going to have a session on AI beforehand, but this is something that they really said. So Mr. Tandon said that fuse the brain with AI. The way to go forward is there is some fusion that is happening with the brain with AI. They talked about how the new generation is coming to the workforce whose temperament is very different, and how the tech is going to enable that fusion. They also spoke about how the need for the emotional intelligence would be a need to connect with this audience, sustainability, and when you look at all of these themes, and most importantly, unlike the human practices where we may have some element of bias, AI is not discriminative. It doesn't distinct in terms of who is asking that question. On that note, once again, welcome to you all. I'm really thrilled to have you all over here as we embark our journey to have a quick sneak peek into the future. And for the benefit of those who do not know me, my name is Vikash. I'm part of the HR and XA team. And let me tell you this topic, when we were trying to figure out what should the title of the AI event, we came up with this title, the Utopian Movement. Typically, the Utopian Movement is something which is very idealistic, which is very future looking. And AI is at this stage, we're still trying to figure out what the true realms of the AI is, what are the boundaries that it's trying to draw. It's still it's something that we have not really figured out so far, as the technology has been around for a while. And when I read a bit of literature, I realized that all the history is written with the stories of the heroics of the people, the human, what they have done, be it in the war front, the technology, or whatever. But today, as we speak on this event, it seems there is a new hero in the room, and that hero is AI. It's figureless, shapeless. It is designed by us as human beings, and today is there in the room who is challenging us in terms of, can we really manage the bounds of the AI? And that's why this topic, taming the AI wave, do we have it all in ourselves to truly tame it? Now the interesting piece over here is that the moment we use the word taming, we look at the solutions, we look at the objects that we can control by ourselves, and here is a tool that not only has the capability to self-learn itself, but to outsmart a human being possible in every task that it is programmed for. Given this temperament that it has, the tool, it's very important for all of us to understand how are we going to integrate this vital tool into our workplace and how it will change the future of workplace for all of us. Today, as we look at our daily routines, we see AI is assisting us in possibly everything that we do, be it typing an email, reading through some content, the speech recognition, giving direction, the autonomous vehicles, and to top it all, the chat GPT-3. The GPT-3 today is not discriminating whether you are an educated lot or not. Anybody who has a basic education and ability to write, maybe some bit of primary education, I think it can throw an intelligence which a human mind otherwise would not have conceived, or if possible conceived, would require somebody who was trained enough to be able to do that. Now these are some kind of great shift that we're experiencing already in the era of technology. We as HR and business leaders in this room, the biggest challenge for us is how do we leverage the true assets of the business, and we use this word umpteen number of times since morning, that we are the real assets, we are the asset creators. How as the asset creators or the people who are supposed to manage these assets can leverage the technology in a way that we can get the most out of it, and we can again using the word, I'm tempted to use the word tame it, so that we know that it's within the limits that it's supposed to. Some of the questions that come to our mind as we step into this particular conversation today is, what's the goal of AI in the room? What is that we all expect ourselves to achieve? It is just to ride the wave or truly tame it? How much of an adoption that we can really look at? What are the possibilities that we have? Do we have a responsibility over here? And how do we ensure that AI becomes a force for good, enhancing our HR landscape particularly, rather than disrupting it? I think clearly there is a dialogue that we have already started with AI, where we're trying to draw the elements of human enterprise, aiming at defining the role and in turn redefining the role of us who is managing the AI. The session today attempts these questions and possibly helps us to reflect the roles that we need to play with the AI And we are specifically today going to focus, after a bit of discussion on the larger landscape of AI, we focus and converge a discussion into the human aspects of AI. While I say this again, it is needless to mention that from an HR tech space, we have evolved ourselves from the times of the manual to using the Excel spreadsheet to the cloud-based solution to an era of AI. I think there's a lot that as HR fraternity that we have accomplished. But today, with the AI in the room, I think whatever we did so far seems to be decimated. The possibilities that we see going forward are so loud and big. So on that note, I would like to begin my session. Let's look at the journey of the AI a bit. I'm sure in this room, we have audience from the business, from the technology and HR, and all of us have very different definition of what this AI is. And while I introduce my speakers in a while, we have some very august speakers in the room today who have been on the forefront of technology of AI. And I'll introduce them in a bit of time. But meanwhile, there's a bit of literature that I have gathered, and I feel it's important for us to set the tone of the session with this information. Well, some slides. I'm not sure how many of us know when the AI started. Those who are practitioners of AI would know that it's been there for several decades. The first set of these developments have happened way back in 1943-50. Okay, this is a time when the first set of work by Mr. Warren and Walter, who were the neurophysiologists, they developed the first set of neural network work. And close to 1950, the father of the artificial intelligence, John McCarthy, along with Alan Turing, Marvin Minsky, Alan Neville, and Herbert A., actually developed and set the AI in force. Cut to 1997, it seems to be a pretty long horizon for any technology. The time that we live, we see technology traveling leaps and bounds every year. It took a while. I think that was a time which was possibly the winter of AI. We did not see much of interventions happening over here. Possibly the kind of efforts that the scientists and the development guys were putting, they did not feel it was important. But we saw a big development, a landmark development in the field of AI in 1997, when the IBM's Deep Blue defeats the world chess champion Kasparov. This was a turning moment, and ever since that, way back in 2002, the first time the industrial automation iRobot Romba came in, which had the AI-powered navigation system. It had the ability to clean the place and put itself back to the charging deck. 2015, Onward Assist, Path AI starting using deep learning algorithms to assist pathologists in interpreting pathology slides. And as I read it yesterday, I'm not sure how many of you really followed. So this was a news somewhere in the US, and a lady who had a 3 or 4-year-old child who has been suffering from some terminal disease. Close to 14 odd doctors have been trying to figure out what's the issue with this person, the child. They could not. And with all the reports, the lady puts all this information on the chat GPT, and it is able to do a diagnosis. Okay, so that's the power of technology that was moving. Cut to 2020, a topic that's unmissable to anyone. I don't think anybody in this room would not have this particular tool already inside his device and would not have used it, the chat GPT. To trump it all in 2023, we have DeepMind that has released RT2, a novel vision language action model that learns and trains robots to manual tasks. If you look at the landscape, there is enough and more that has happened. And during this journey, the HR technology traveled its own space. So what is it all about? Is it here to replace humans? Is it going to augment it? What is it in for? Let's have a look on the impact so far. I'll quickly move through the slides. These are some of the news bites, and I'm sure all of you have an access to this. If you see, this is a topic which has gathered enough and more attention worldwide. And when I looked at the literature, I specifically picked those articles that create some impact on the HR. This is a topic which every HR leader has been speaking, that there would be an impact of AI. They're talking about that it is here and it is going to be here. It will disrupt the jobs. It is transforming the face of resource management like never before and whatnot. There's plethora of this news already around. So clearly it's something which is going to be here, and we all have a responsibility to tame it well. Some trends of artificial intelligence globally. If you look at the adoption of global AI adoption, it is close to 35% in 2022, which was an all-time high, and it's been increasing ever since. Close to 2,000 odd global leaders who have been spoken to, they have clearly stated their need of AI being the force to change. I think 94% of the leaders think that AI will be important for their business success. And I'm really looking forward to, again, I can't stop reminding myself that I have great speakers in this room who would be sharing their experiences of how they have impacted businesses in their respective domains. Well, in India, there is some change as well happening. While the adoption of AI in India seems to be a little on the lower side compared to the global, but the interesting statistics over here is India has the second highest number of AI startups in the world with over 1,500 companies, only second to US. Also, India ranks third in education, again, only third to US and China. So clearly, if you look at it today, while the technology domain in IT services are the prime movers of it, but there is enough and more happening. In the space of HR, again, there is enough and more survey, and each of the statistics only proves the case in point that AI is here, and HR is going to get impacted meaningfully. Some areas we feel that AI has truly shown its impact are these four categories. I'm sure as we keep learning from each other, we will see what are the other areas that AI has impacted. It's predominantly in talent acquisition, management, employee experience, and analytics. On that note, I would like to introduce our speakers in the room. And there is an audience. I am sorry, I did not acknowledge. So alongside the people in this room, we have two more audience with us. So thank you, audience, which is connected to us virtually. And a good friend is also with us, which is ChatGPT. So the format of the session is, we are going to do a bit of discussion with the speakers. They will share their perspectives. They have been industry leaders in the domain of AI. And once they share the speakers, we will do a bit of Q&A, some of the emerging themes within the HR, what is their perspectives. And while we do so, we will check if their perspective and the view of the audience, is it coherent with what AI thinks? Let's check if there is any semblance in it. And the way we'll do it is, if you'll see on your desk, all of you have a kind of a scanned piece of paper lying over there. We're going to use a technology called Slido. We'll raise some questions. You can scan that. It will take you to Live Gateway. If you can do it right now, please check if the technology is working before I introduce our speakers. It's just to ensure that, all the audience who are supposed to be in this session are in it together. Is it working? Yep. Okay, great. Once again, it's my privilege to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker for today is Mr. Anand Mahurkar. Mr. Anand Mahurkar is the founder and CEO of Findability Services, an artificial intelligence and data technology innovator, and a seasoned professional who believes in accelerating transformation in traditional enterprises through the power of data, helping them become data superpowers. Anand has over 30 years of global business leadership experience. He's a first-generation entrepreneur and an immigrant to the USA, a mechanical engineering graduate and MBA holder. He founded Findability Sciences to empower enterprises with data-driven capabilities. He grew the company from its inception to international prominence in AI and data solution with a joint venture with SoftBank. He has several recognitions like the IBM Watson Ecosystem Partner Advisory Board member, IBM Big Data Hero 2014, Forbes Technology Council member, Fast Company Executive Board member. He has been awarded by Financial Times in 2021, INC Magazine 2022, recognizing Findability Sciences as a fast-growing company in the AI space. Fast Company has been honored as a company for world-changing ideas in the year 2021. His charitable involvement includes, he's a charter member of TIE, Boston Mentoring Emerging Entrepreneurs. He's an International Achiever Award recipient for 2021 for global technology achievements. Friends, our next speaker is Mr. Mukesh Jain. Mr. Mukesh Jain is the Chief Technology Officer, Vice President and Global Head of People Analytics, Capgemini Group. He leads the 890 by Capgemini Center of Excellence, Capgemini's flagship AI and analytics platform used by multiple Fortune 500 companies. He holds an engineering degree in computer science and engineering, an executive management program from IIT Bombay, and an MTech in software systems specializing in analytics from BITS Pilani. Established Millennium Garage Innovation Program at Capgemini, resulting in 250 plus solutions delivered across 7 countries. In his previous roles, he has served as the CTO of VFS Global and has held leadership positions at NICE Systems, Geo, and Microsoft at US. Over 26 years of experience in data-driven software product development, design thinking, UX, analytics, machine learning, AI, and digital transformation. He possesses a passion for excellence in data-driven innovation that delivers sustainable business value. He is a recognized leader for AI and machine learning. He has conducted masterclass on AI at NASSCOM, IIT, and IIM and multiple international events, is actively implementing AI in areas of explainable AI, bias detection, ethical AI, and tighter integration of AI with humans. Guys, hold your breath, there is more coming. Multiple awards and recognition, including Microsoft's Gold Star Award, Asia Pacific Leadership Award, and more. Known for his expertise in product management, leadership analytics, and AI, he is a regular speaker at international conferences. There's more still. He is the author of 2 books. He is delivering successful projects and web performance improvement, and is currently working on 3rd. As we have someone in the room, please, a round of applause. And Mukesh has his unique style, he adds a lot of humor, as I'm sure you'll experience his keynote today. A 3rd speaker, though he says that he's the younger ones amongst the 3, but I'm sure he's an equally formidable one. He's the co-founder and CEO of Prediction AI. With over 2 decades of experience, Vaibhav has played a pivotal role in numerous digital transformation and innovation in India. He's a BTech in Electrical Engineering from IIT Madras and an MBA in Information Management from SP Jain. Vaibhav's impressive track record includes the successful launch of over 25 digital products and platforms for enterprise and consumers, earning him various awards and accolades. His core competencies include product management, AI-led digital transformation, deep tech product development, agile product development, product marketing, data science, new product planning, go-to-market strategy, execution, and growth hacking. He's a mentor at NASSCOM Deep Tech Club, Telangana AI Mission, and IIT Madras Research Park. As a LinkedIn top voice in AI, he frequently shares his experience as a speaker and a writer on AI and deep tech topics. Beyond his professional endeavors, Vaibhav is driven by a passion and mission to empower and support founders, startups, and enthusiasts in the AI and deep tech domains. Mr. Vaibhav Goel, for you. Well, I'm sure as I was reading through the notes of my speaker's introduction, you'll realize that the word AI has so much more than sheer term of AI. And it's important that when we have this wealth of intelligence and the wisdom in the room, that all of us should gain as much as possible. And I would request in turns, maybe starting with Anand, to come and share his experience with us all in terms of what he has done in findability sciences and his experience with AI.
First of all those who handle the human resource function in this room, thank you. Thank you for your contribution to wherever you work. But more than that, you know that you impact societies. And I know that with AI, there may be a little bit of question mark. And I'm going to cover my point of view literally in a few seconds, because taming is a very strong word. And do we really need taming of that? But after that, I would like to leave you, this audience, with few fundamental things about this technology, which is going to give you a lot of clarity in terms of what's going to happen. So really what we have to do is recognize AI and collaborate with it. So that's my point of view. And in order to do that, the first thing being this is a HR conference and HR audience, from today, let's say human is not a resource. This may be a very strong statement for people who are in industry for 30, 40 years managing human resources. But now it's a time on the planet that we should stop saying human is a resource. Then you may say, who is the resource? The artificial intelligence is a resource. So maybe this room and some leadership can take a new definition for human resources. Come up with some word. I don't think I can coin it. But the knowledge workers word also we used in the industry a lot. I want you guys to change from today and call them wins worker. Wins worker are those who use words, images, numbers, and sounds. Now, if you apply this principle to any function, you will be able to now realize because I don't want in my 10 minutes to talk about what AI is going to do, what will change, what are the applications. You all know that there's a lot of literature to read about it. But this wins worker concept is real and is a measurable in terms of defining which roles are going to get impacted by AI. So heart surgeon or a chef is not a wins worker. So nothing is going to happen to them. In fact, I live and work in Boston. I was at MIT for a conference with IDC, and one of the MIT professor on economics was presenting, and he said that next 50 years, are the best for plumbers, cleaners, chefs, people who do physical work. No jobs impacted. Their compensations may not go up, but they are very secure. But according to me, who was impacted are WINS worker. And who are those? Are the software programmers, the accountants, the lawyers, the HR professionals, the marketing, the communication, the list goes on and on and on. But how does this happen? What is this AI? Why are we so excited or worried in equal breath? Why Sam Altman's visit to India makes a lot of big news? Why Prime Minister Modi meets him? He's just a startup company CEO. I'm struggling in Boston for 10 years, startup company CEO, but never was invited to meet president of a country. So I'm going to leave some technical terms. If you're HR, if you're business leader, I know there are some CEOs and managing directors and chairmen in this room. Please, what I'm sharing for next 5 minutes, you must know it. It's not optional. That what is really AI? Forget about the robots, what Vikash talked about in terms of who's training robots to do what, etc. But the most important branch of AI for this audience is machine learning. And machine learning has 3 types of technologies which you should know. Again, I'm going into a little bit of technology. It is must for you to know this. Post this in a question answer, we can handle a little. But the first algorithm in machine learning, and I know that there are 2 technical experts and there may be many. Excuse me, I'm not going to a lot of technology. I'm just keeping it at a high level. So I may be using some marketing and sales communication also. But in supervised learning, what you have is you have a historic data and you know what you are looking for. So predictions. Vaibhav provides algorithm where you have historic data and you know what you are looking for. Which person will leave my company? Which person is probably going to join my company? What will be my sales? What will be my revenue? So you know what you are looking for. That is called supervised machine learning algorithm. You might find as I speak boring. As it goes, you will find it interesting that you must know all these terms. The second is unsupervised, because there is a supervised, there is an unsupervised. You have data, you don't know what you are looking for. Let's in geo world put all the sensors, people going there, here and there, recorded for 1 month. Now we find, what are we finding out of it? So I really don't know what I'm looking for that sensor data, but I can give it to algorithm which is unsupervised and it will tell me what to do. Now, as you know in ChatGPT, you give thumbs up, thumbs down. You are doing training to that algorithm. It is called reinforcement algorithm, that you are training with manual input or automated or etc. And we can go into the details of it, but that's a reinforcement algorithm. Supervised, unsupervised reinforcement. Please remember these words. Unsupervised, supervised where you have data, you know what you are looking for. Unsupervised, you have data, you don't know what you are looking for. Reinforcement where the answer comes in, you are reinforcing learning and giving the output. And the last is a deep learning where I put this reinforcement, supervised, unsupervised algorithms in tandem, trying to solve some complex problems and getting an output. As Vikash was telling about the progression of the AI, we as engineers solved mostly structured data problems in last 3 decades. Then as the phones started coming and iPhones innovation happened, we started talking about unstructured data, which is text, images, etc. And the third is the videos. So this is the way the content progression happened, and we started applying these algorithms to data, text, and images. So why I'm telling you all this is that the application areas for the supervised learning algorithm typically is a structured data, which is in rows and columns in Excel sheets or databases, data analytics, etc., etc. In unstructured, I have natural language programming, chatbots, text processing, and in image or computer vision is image or video processing. Again, you may feel that why I'm talking about this all is important to you know that this is the area which you guys are talking more as AI now, because this natural language processing in 2017, Google DeepMind engineers came up with a white paper. You all should Google this. You all should read it over this weekend. It's a very tough technical paper, but a must read for those who have interest. And the paper name is Attention is All What You Need. And being Indians, we know that parents have always told us, pay attention, pay attention. So human brain is networked in a way that you just pay attention to few words. So this white paper came up with the algorithm saying that if you pay attention to the words, the AI algorithm has a capability to predict the next word. So how I explain, without going into a lot of technicality, is that in this audience, I throw a rope and shout snake. The moment I snake, you're going to pay attention to that word. Some may think that this is a reptile is going to bite me and may get heart attack. Someone will get anxious, start running. Somebody may get sweat. Somebody may feel something. Everybody will react to it differently. That's because the way you are trained onto snake as an animal and you formed the impression about it. So for example, how this attention model works is that when you pay attention to a word, it starts finding the words in the vicinity and tries making a sentence. So ChatGPT is not giving you data from any database. It is creating the data. So for example, when I say cat sat on a wall, and you must have experienced in Google, it gives you the suggested word, is that it creates a scoring in this attention model, and the word which gets the highest score completes the sentence, saying cat sat on a mat. Now, why this is important to know, that in the same white paper, the engineers came up with a technology called transformer. Again, not getting into technology, but there's an encoder and decoder in this. It pays attention to a word, it completes sentence, it completes paragraph, it completes page, it completes a book, and now there's the aha moment. So this transformer, which is now available to everybody, you can take it and put large content into it, and then it starts generating similar content. And there where the industry started changing, that, oh, I can give machine some task and it starts giving me the answers. But keep in mind that those answers are not coming from any database, those are generated by the algorithm, therefore it is called generative AI. So what is generative AI? It's a branch of AI, it is machine learning, it is NLP and deep learning combined, giving you similar content. So you feed one page, it will give you a similar page, not the same page. It is not going to pick the one. So if you go to ChatGPT and say there is a Japanese restaurant in BKC, you are going to get answer, but that is probably going to be a wrong answer because it's not a search engine, it's not a database-driven technology. So two broad categories now in the AI is discriminative AI, which is what we have been using for predictions, etc. so far. So just to make this easy to understand, if I have a dog picture, I put it into a discriminative machine learning algorithm, it will tell me that this is a dog. And this is what we use for last 30 years. But what is generative is that I take a dog picture and put it into a generative model, it will generate a dog picture, but a similar dog, not the same dog. And again, this is a little difficult in explaining in 10 minutes, but every professional in this room should know this concept, that generative AI is a probabilistic predictive technology which generates similar content to its training. So how did it happen so far? Vikash already covered in detail, but just to make it a little fun, that 1990s when I studied engineering, we used to code in a database, and some of you must have done it. Animal with 4 legs, it has brown hair, it barks. Then machine will tell me it's a dog. And we were very happy. We built banking applications, we built ticketing applications, etc. based on that. Then from last 20 years, the machine learning algorithms started coming in. I can put a dog picture and it will tell me that this is a dog, and it was a wow moment, that I can put a cat and it will say it's a cat. But now the generative AI, I repeat, you put a dog picture, it will generate a similar dog picture. Now why I'm telling you all this is now the enterprise AI, particularly in HR domain, is redefined. And the redefined is that it's going to be the predictive or discriminative algorithms or data analytics which we use so far, combined with generative AI, but more importantly, the data and governance. For you HR professional, this data and governance is far more important to you than the technology. I was just chatting before this presentation, that this technology is available to bad actors and good actors. I can put, there is a now new GPT, I don't know how many of you know, called Worm GPT. It is being trained on all leaked passwords and malwares, and I can go and prompt a new cyber attack on company or a country or a location, and it can generate automatically malware. So HR professionals are going to get impacted with this technology, and profession is going to change. We can discuss in Q&A how and when. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. I'm sure you stole the model of wins, worker, and this is a winning team out here. Thank you so much. We will win without that S. Okay. The other interesting thing which you said, the algorithm that you showed, the cat sat on the mat, that reminded me one of our texts from the marketing book, and that connected with your earlier sentence that said, attention is all what you need. And it said, how do you really make a marketing tagline? The cat sat on a mat, no attention. The cat sat on a rat's mat, now that's attention. Thank you so much, pretty insightful. I'm sure all of us have gathered enough insights that the world of AI is full of possibilities and more. On that note, I would request our next speaker, Mr. Mukesh, to kindly come, please.
It's nice to be here. It's been 12 years since I moved back to India, and I can tell you every day some learning is there. Be it artificial intelligence, be it learning, but most important, people. When I joined Capgemini 5 years back, my CEO was interviewing me, and he asked me, Mukesh, why are you leaving product company and joining a consulting company, service company? Then I said, he was a Chinese CEO at that time. He didn't understand Hindi, but I still gave an answer in Hindi, and then I, of course, translated. So the answer I gave was, there's a movie called Bunty or Bubbly, in which Amitabh Bachchan gave a voiceover, which is, कुछ लोग होते हैं एक जिंदगी सारी जिंदगी एक ही काम करते हैं, और कुछ लोग होते हैं एक ही जिंदगी में सारे काम करते हैं. So I'm kind of a person who want to do. Is Hindi okay with all of you? English थोड़ी कमजोर है, तो I try to mix and match. So I said, I'm kind of a person who want to do everything, and I've done everything except sales and HR. And my CEO started laughing. Of course, I translated before that. He started laughing. I said, why are you laughing? Okay, no, Mukesh, nothing like that. I didn't realize why he was laughing. So I took the CTO role at Capgemini, joined Capgemini, and then I realized why he was laughing, because I was doing lots of sales after that. Okay? I learned by the way sales, because I worked for Microsoft, and I'm sure several of you are using my product, Outlook. Do you get less junk in Outlook compared to others? Outlook, use करते हो? Do you get less junk? अरे हाँ तो बोलो, ना तो बोलो. हाँ. मैं हाई मांग रहा था, मैं ना नहीं मांग रहा था. Anyway. If you're getting less junk in Outlook, you can thank me for that. 24 years back, this was Microsoft's first ever AI algorithm I wrote there to catch junk for Bill Gates. He used to get 16,000 junk email per day. Okay, I've just joined, just a new kid at the block. Microsoft with 3.5 years experience, and Microsoft had this culture of any big important meeting, they will have one junior most person from the team will be invited for that meeting. With no qualification of mine, just an engineer, I got invited. So I come from a typical Marwadi family. Everybody in my family, my in-laws, everybody in the family managed business except myself. शादी के लिए भी प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी वो टाइम में 30 years back. अरे लड़का जॉब करता है, लड़का जॉब करता है. I grew from that part, of course. I managed to get married and all. And my in-laws were asking me, what's future? Well, US जाऊँगा, ये जाऊँगा. ठीक है, शादी हो गई. Then I said, let's go to US. My wife said, नहीं, US क्यों? हमको इधर ही रहना है. मैं तो बोला था शादी के पहले. मुझे लगा फेंक रहे होंगे. पता नहीं फेंक रहा था पता नहीं. But got into Microsoft and all. But in that meeting when I saw Bill Gates, first meeting, first few months, second month of my role at Microsoft, I see Bill Gates in front of me, and like, wow, I'm seeing the legend, the richest person and the most brainy person I ever heard. And he comes to the meeting, he starts. Within a few meetings, the meeting is cancelled. Why? Because he says, I have a problem of junk email. What are you doing about it? And my GM said, oh yeah, that's too complicated. We'll do it in 2 years. He threw the paper on the desk and said, give me 1 day and I'll code it for you. So that was the first interaction at Microsoft. And understanding कि भाई क्या what can be done for this, and हाथ उठा रहा हूँ पूछने में क्या जाता है. Let me ask, let me try this out. And my manager, no Mukesh, कुछ नहीं कर सकते and all. Everybody said no. Try it for 3 months. Of course, एक महीने में एक दिन में काम नहीं हुआ मेरा. Then I said, you know what? Forget it. खुद बना दो. I'm going to talk about AI part of it right now, and then I'll start my slides. Of course, you have stolen the thunder. Anand have already given you all the overview, so definitely cannot give those details here right now. But I'll give you some very simple algorithm. And this is exactly how the AI is, by the way. It's like a child, a curious child. We all have curiosity, by the way. We were born curious, right? 6 months young, 1 year young, 2 year young, 3 year young kid. Curious. Q, काइको, why? And we as a parent and we as a teacher, मैंने बोला ना ऐसा करना है, इसके लिए ऐसा ही करना है. We kill the curiosity. So as a curious person, do that part. Simple question. Are you going to read a junk email for more than 5 seconds? Are you going to delete an important email in less than 3 seconds? That was my algorithm. instead of focusing on natural language processing, instead of focusing on technology, I focus on the human behavior and capture those signals in numbers and then put that into the database and then start crunching. Because a Flipkart email could be junk for me, but may not be for you. So who am I to decide? Who am I, Microsoft to decide कि Flipkart का email है तो junk है सबके लिए? नहीं. We cannot do that. Junk as defined by me. दुल्हन वही जो पियामन भाई. Right? I don't know उसका translation कैसा होता है English में, but you got the idea. We all have choice. Choice है. आप यहाँ से जब निकलोगे, आप Uber बुक करोगे, आपकी गाड़ी में आए होंगे, तो बुक करोगे, तो ओला निकाला ऐसे दिखा रहा है. How many seconds are you going to wait? Nobody does 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It's a human psychology. Mumbai, it is 5.4 seconds. India average is 7.2 seconds. We wait for so much second before we decide कि इसको छोड़ दो, Uber में जाओ या call a friend या auto या रिक्शा लेके निकल. Right? Because we have choice. Choice है इसके लिए. Hotmail, नाम तो सुना ही होगा ना? 2004. Before Google आया और lunch खाना शुरू कर दिया Microsoft का. Right? Sabir Bhatia, amazing. First email address, 1993, Sabir Bhatia, right? 2004 में क्या हुआ? Great product Microsoft, Hotmail, सब कुछ चल रहा है and everything. But that was the time dongle आया, याद रहेगा आपको? Dongle, you can put it on your laptop with an antenna, 256 kbps modem. उसके पहले क्या होता था? घर पे, नाम सुना है? आवाज सुना है? 15.4 kbps modem. आजकल तो 200 mbps भी बोलता है, डॉटर बोलती है, डैड थोड़ा और इम्प्रूव करो ना उसको. 200 mbps है यार. Anyway, चॉइस हम सबके पास है. वो टाइम में चॉइस नहीं थी. हॉटमेल ही था हमारे पास. बट जैसे जीमेल आया कि 4 सेकंड में लॉगिन कर सकते हो. हॉटमेल वन ऑफ द ग्रेट प्रोडक्ट इवन नाउ आई हॉटमेल ईमेल एड्रेस. आई माइट बी लिटिल बायस बिकॉज माइक्रोसॉफ्ट को स्टॉक है मेरे पास अभी भी. सो बेयर विथ मी. बट हमारे पास चॉइस है. जब हमारे पास चॉइस है तो क्या होता है? पीपल डोंट कॉल कैसे. बाय द वे आई वाज ट्राइंग टू बुक ओला. बहुत टाइम लगा, नहीं आ रहा था, इसके लिए मैं उबर बुक कर रहा हूँ. डू यू डू दैट पार्ट? You just switch over, right? You have choice. Artificial intelligence is all about understanding the human behavior. Attention is all what you want, right? Of course. Behavior. Human behavior is what my specialty is. Of course, I'm not a psychology person. I'm not an MBA. I'm a typical engineer. But I always observe behavior. Signals. There are always signals we transmit. Okay? Data comes in all forms. Passive बोलो, active बोलो. Passive. Passive. कुछ कहा नहीं मैंने, लेकिन मेरे सिग्नल्स आ रहे हैं. सिग्नल्स. ट्राई करो. कोई भी गूगल, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट कोई भी ट्रांसलेट नहीं कर पाएगा. अगर मैं बोलता हूँ या राइट, यस अफर्मेटिव, या इंस्टेड ऐसे या राइट. डिफरेंस है ना? दिस एआई कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड दिस. यू माइट बी सरप्राइज. अरे सब लोग एआई की बात करें, मुकेश बोला एआई नहीं चलेगा. अरे मैं एआई यूज कर रहा हूँ तो टाइम है, बच्चा है अभी, सीखेगा. 2 days back I was watching PK one more time. Clear, good definition. Of course, other than the religious thing he did was, which I don't approve of, but the curious part, AI is curious. PK was curious to understand क्या हो रहा है. Try to understand those part. Because at the end of it, it's a skill. For each of our employee, it's a skill, it's the engagement which you want. As part of HR, right? So now it's been 6 months. I've taken this additional role at Capgemini in addition to CTO, people analytics. हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना 3 idiot में, अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो? So we're trying to understand from the employee, अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो? And yes, we are doing very good in capturing the employee feedback. लेकिन कहना क्या चाहते हो? How do I understand those part? And that is what I'm talking about this part. And ultimately, AI to understand behavior, right? So of course, signals, right? Swipe in, swipe out, how many times you are there, are you engaged, not engaged? All those things, if you combine them, you'll be able to understand what people are really trying to say, right? Now, the next point, AI to understand engagement and innovate. This about a year back, I was coming back from Paris. I landed at Mumbai airport. I tried to book Uber. I'm a Uber fan, not an Ola fan. I tried to book Uber, 750 rupiah to Lower Parel. That's costly. Then I go to Ola. Ola 450 rupees, reasonable price. Booked, I left. Few minutes later, I get SMS from Uber saying, Mukesh, you tried to book, you did not book. Can you give a feedback? अरे हमेशा रेडी होता feedback के लिए तो. Single click on it. Why did you, एक ही question. Why you did not book? Price was too high, the baggage did not come, or the vehicle took longer, or you went with a friend. Price was too high, done. Few seconds later, another SMS. Apologies for inconvenience. After few seconds, another SMS. 300 rupees off for the next ride. Yes. Feedback दिया, काम आया, 300 रुपये मिल गए मुझे, right? How did Uber know that I left the airport? Uber is not talking to Ola. The signals which are there, which is Uber was on and Ola start कर लिया, but my location in Uber was on. It was looking at location. अरे तो जा रहा है, अरे जा रहा है, छोड़ के जा रहा है, छोड़ के जा रहा है, अरे फास्ट बढ़ गया. ठीक है, he left, lost opportunity. See, I'm a typical Mahavadi again. I'll repeat that part. Lost opportunity. I love that part, and I do a lot of lost opportunity business for a lot of my clients. And this is exactly lost opportunity. Uber finds out and then makes it there. AI is all about that. I always tell my employees, my HR leaders and my business leaders that, hey, by the time the employee have got an offer letter, it's too late. सर उठा के बाद देखेंगे अगर हमने अच्छे एम्प्लॉय हायर किए तो सर उठा के बाद देखेंगे 30% ज़्यादा तो मिल ही जाएंगे उनको. बट वाई डू यू मेक इट सच दैट उनको मौका क्यों दो? वाई डू वांट देम टू गो एंड ट्राई आउट आउटसाइड एंड देन यू थिंक करने उसको रिटेन करते यार. समझो ना, समझो signals, and they're exactly all about people analytics. Of course, the whole part of talent, a lot of things are there. The important part to notice, sorry, the slide got jumbled up, sorry about that, but attracting the right talent, keeping them engaged, understanding the diversity and everything which we respect, we should do that, and at the same time, finding out who are these people, who are the people who potentially might leave the company. Prediction. At Capgemini, we did a predictive algorithm and it worked. It worked. AI can do a lot of wonders, by the way, but you need to know asking the right signals, right? Okay. Of course, you can do NLP and everything. A lot of those things are there. Sentiment, resume screening, all those things can be done. But let me ask you one question. If tomorrow somebody asks you, Virat Kohli, how much score you will make in the next match? What are the parameters we can look at? Machine learning was mentioned very well by Anand. Historic data, we'll look at it. But sometimes we miss out one important data. Is Anushka Sharma in the stadium or not? Ask question, does it matter? Yes, no. Does it matter? We don't know whether it matters or not. लेकिन data लेना जरूरी है. Unless that system tells us one way or the other, we are not going to discard any data. And that's all about AI, right? We look at multiple signals and see which signal really makes sense. And I can tell you at Capgemini, we started with 64 parameters. People analytics to understand and predict which are the employees who are going to leave, how I can improve the engagement and all. And I can tell you the first reaction was, Mukesh, we only have 4 data point. चलेगा, 4 से शुरू करूँगा. 4 से only 4? You are asking for 64? अरे क्या बात है? You start with something and you start building. You will get more signals, more and more signals. This is the dashboard we created on the left side. The green and red. Green, which are the employee? What are the parameter? Mukesh, the person will stay. Red, what are the area where Mukesh will leave? If you can make some difference over there for the employee with data privacy respected. See, data privacy is big for me. I'm also was part of Niti Aayog committee who drafted the data protection law. So the law which got passed, right, I had some contribution there as well. But very, very important. But with data privacy included, here when you see this part, difference is there. Yes, I know why this person is. What is important for me is, सबको पैसा नहीं चाहिए. We might think सबको पैसा चाहिए नहीं. किसी को freedom चाहिए. Like for me, अगर पैसे चाहिए तो मैं US में ही रहता. I would have continued working with Satan Lalera. नहीं. I want to come here, do something more because that freedom, the innovation is something which I want. So for me, those will be the red one. अगर innovation नहीं दिया मुकेश को, तो वो भाग जाएगा. Like that, we need to understand our employee. AI can help you get there faster. And of course, finding out people, skilling. When I launched this program, Millennial Garage, my CEO, everybody said, Mukesh, why are you calling Millennial Garage? Should we call it Gen Z Garage? मैं नहीं, I'm millennial. Gen Z भी कर सकते, include and everything. But if I choose any of the name, I want the people, the senior people in the organization, including 40 years, 50 years and all. I know years is just a number because I'm in that zone. So years is just a number, by the way, okay? So I'm not that old, by the way, okay? So just a number, right? So I was like, नहीं, उनको भी कैसे engage करे? So happy to say that 4,340 people at all 4 generation working together on products, 250 products we released, all zero cost. Zero cost कैसे? सारे bench पे बैठे थे कुछ लोग, okay? And few people who were saying, अरे यार कुछ करना है, कुछ करने को मिल नहीं रहा है. ठीक है, ये करो मेरे आगे. अरे टाइम नहीं है. फिर वो मंदाकिनी का डायलॉग है, अनिल कपूर का डायलॉग याद आता है तेजा मूवी में, जब मंदाकिनी पूछती है अनिल कपूर को कि आपके पास टाइम होगा, एंड अनिल कपूर ऑफ कोर्स शी इज मंदाकिनी, शी सेड, अनिल कपूर सेज टाइम होता नहीं, निकालना पड़ता है. सो स्किल भी चाहिए, ग्रोथ भी चाहिए, प्रमोशन भी चाहिए, लेकिन टाइम नहीं है तो सॉरी, थैंक यू, बाय बाय. एंड दिस वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट, हाउ डू आइडेंटिफाई ट्रेनिंग, स्ट्रेटेजिक वर्कफोर्स प्लानिंग. अरे कैसे स्टार्ट करना है, सबको बिठा दिया ट्रेनिंग करो. अरे नहीं, People have different skills. Some people are technical, some people are product. I always was thinking कि jack of all trades, master of. नहीं यार, थोड़ा change करो यार. Master of some. Jack of all trades, master of some. That's what I've been teaching my kids, my daughter and my son. But of course, क्या हुआ? थोड़ा daughter के पास चला गया, थोड़ा son के पास चला गया. My daughter is a product manager, techie, but my son is a pure techie. But anyway, the skill part. Don't just give same skill to everybody. Look at their skills. AI can help you there as well. Understand what kind of skills they are very good at, and then skill them on those parts. Assessment, a lot of things are available over there as well. Responsible AI. We have come through a long journey, by the way. So we are still in the area of statistical AI, I would say. And even though the number was mentioned by Vikas, and sorry with all due respect numbers, the numbers are good on paper. I would suggest a book called How to Lie with Statistics. How to lie with statistics. The numbers are there. People say, हाँ मैंने एक project कर लिया, tick mark. I am AI enabled. NASCOM में when I was delivering a workshop for executives, and one thing which came up all the time was AI. And everybody knew AI, and everybody knew only chat. Now ChatGPT, but that time was chatbot, only chatbot and all those things. So last couple of years, I'm consulting some of the family managed business, consulting some of my startups and all. One thing I learned, it's all about targeted skills and all. And yes, explainable AI is what we need to get to now. Hope generative AI is already there, very early stage, and finally it will be integrated. Integrated such that it will be seamless. People will not know the difference between the human and AI. Not just about eliminating jobs, but it's all about how do we integrate and get best out of it.
I think Bollywood से Hollywood तक सब तय कर लिया हमने इसमें, and clearly AI seems to be the hero. Thank you so much. Some great insights, and the way you conveyed it in a very lucid manner is truly wonderful. That reminded me this quote of Michael Dell. He said, this is his favorite quote, that if you don't have the curiosity, you'll never learn. I think that's how you beautifully captured that this is a machine which is developed by us, a tool which is hungry for knowledge. We are feeding it, but that hunger should lie with us as well to tame it. Thank you so much. On that note, I would request now Mr. Vaibhav Goyal to kindly come over, please, for your session.
Thank you for having me here and giving your time. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to cover things from my perspective. So I'll just tell a little bit about myself first, okay, before getting into this. So my interest, so I've done my BTech from IIT Madras, and when I was in 2002, okay, when I was doing my BTech project. So my BTech project was about face recognition, okay, essentially. So face recognition is, the problem was like, they wanted to detect criminals in the airport, okay, and wanted to use computer vision for that, which means if the face is criminal, then the system should identify that the criminal is there, okay. And my guide told me to go and solve this problem, okay. And I'm talking about 2002, okay. And the problem was not to apply AI. The problem was there are a lot of data which is out there, obviously, which we calculated from various places, okay. To train such a model, which is a global database, the training time which was required to train that model was about 30 years, okay, on the computing which was available that time, essentially. So my thesis of that project was to cut down that training time, okay. So I worked on advanced technique of AI, wherein we cut down the database into multiple pieces and then train the base layers of the model so that we can pretty much cut down the training time. So the reason why I'm telling you this story is because how I have seen the evolution of AI. That the challenges what we had in 2002 was about training time, computing, data and all that, okay? Which things have changed. Now why AI has been adopted more and more now, okay? Now we have got cheap computing power. We have got a lot of data coming from all over, okay? So we have got structured data, we have got unstructured data, we have got a lot of signals coming. So I think there's a huge data which is pouring in, real-time data which is coming in. And definitely with data coming in and compute which is out there, there is definitely, with algorithms, we can generate a lot of intelligence, okay? So AI is about building that intelligence, okay? It could be like predicting something from that intelligence, or it could be something to augment, okay? Or create some similar content, which is what generative AI is all about, okay? So now in last 4-5 years, with this data and cheap compute power which is available and advancements in technologies, and specifically talking about the transformer which Mr. Anand mentioned, right? Transformer technology is something which is built ChatGPT, and something that I'm talking about here in LLM. Okay, so are these large language models wherein they have humongous data in them. They help you generate content. Okay, so this that the power of LLMs is much higher. Okay, in terms of what they can do, they are really smart. They create content. They augment data. They generate stuff. So generative AI is very different from traditional AI, and we are going to see emergence of or merger of traditional AI with generative AI very soon. Okay, and these are some of the technical domains in AI. A good part of it's already covered, but I just want to cover it from my lens. So LLM is about large language model. Applications are chatbot, document generation, search data from knowledge base, generate content ideas. So a lot of content ideas we can generate from here. A lot of R&D or a lot of product companies like HU and all, they are generating new product ideas. They are also coming up with new designs using LLMs. Okay, and LLM is not just about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is one consumer product, what everybody has already seen here. But there are lots of other models which are coming up. Google is coming up with Bard, and everybody. Okay, so out there, so LLMs are coming in market in both from enterprise world as well as open source world. Okay, and we are going to see some really powerful LLMs in coming years. Okay. Talking about NLP is mainly about understanding language. It is about text, understanding translation, sentence, similarity, question answer, summarization, text generation. Some of the applications of NLP, okay, which is used in parts, and it can be used with other AI technologies as well. Okay. Computer vision is what I was explaining you in earlier face recognition problem. So it's about images, it is about videos. So applications of computer vision include surveillance, like you can monitor and you can you can analyze what are the objects which are there in that picture or frame. Is there any detection which is happening out there? Is there any movement which is happening out there? Okay, comes all under computer vision. Okay, and then we have recommender systems, something like a system which recommends stuff, like in Amazon and Flipkart and Netflix. We see these are the top 10 movies you should see. Okay, it all comes. You can actually mirror yourself when you open up Netflix. Okay, so these are all recommender systems. And then we have audio generation, audio synthesis, voice cloning. You see a lot of dubbing now getting into AI, wherein we can a lot of cloning and a lot of new content can be generated in different languages. And I'm already advising a couple of startups in that area. And then we have reinforcement learning, which is primarily gaming, robotics, self-driving cars, where there's a lot of feedback which flows through the environment, and then system adapts basis that essentially. So which is what reinforcement learning is all about. And I think we are also getting into multimodal AI, which multimodal AI is combining. It's like text, image, video, everything combined essentially. So imagine I analyze sentiment, like a brand wants to analyze sentiments of what consumers are saying on social media, and people are texting, people are also sending images, people are also doing video. So can I combine the power of all of these medias and generate intelligence out of it, is what multimodal AI is all about. Okay, I can have similar applications in surveillance also. So surveillance right now is about detecting objects or detecting movements. But if there are audio signals also coming in the background, let's say somebody is moving, okay, so and a system can detect both audio as well as that movement. Okay, the intelligence which comes out of that will obviously be much better. Okay, and which is where I think world is going. If you see right now, ChatGPT just supports text. Okay, but still there are talks which are there now, and we are getting to hear that they will also support images very soon, and then will there be power of images plus text, which will come soon. Okay, and then I think we'll get into multimodal. Okay, so this is where future is moving. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I think this is a quick snapshot of how AI can impact HR. I think it impacts the entire talent life cycle, starting from attracting the talent. Okay, so I think attracting talent has never been so fascinating now. Okay, I can attract talent from anywhere. Okay, because there are jobs wherein I can find people. So talent is distributed, right? Distributed across the globe, and AI gives me the tool to attract. So how do I attract? I come out with something like powerful way of communicating what I need. Okay, so my requirements, the JDs, right? What you write, you can use AI for writing all of this. Okay, uh, and attract. So and also distribute basically your requirements and attract audience. Okay, so and then hiring. I think hiring. Screening candidates at first level, at doing video resumes, understanding the signals, understanding the emotions, all that. Okay, so there's a lot of AI which is out there now to help you, assist you in hiring and taking hiring decisions. Okay, and then once you hire, you start, obviously you need to still engage that audience, right? So the person might be, or candidate might be looking at multiple jobs. Okay, so how do you attract and really engage him, okay, to you? Okay, so it is almost like CRM, right? We engage our customers and get this lead, okay, and convert that lead into sales. Okay, so I think that's how our traditional ATS systems are now getting into. It is becoming more CRM in nature, wherein candidates are more like your customers, okay, whom you have to really attract, okay, towards your cause. You would expose them towards what projects you are working in, what kind of people which is out there, with the policies, and so many things, okay. So it's a regular communication set path which has to be taken. And then the challenge is about managing the talent, right? Retaining the talent, developing the talent. So a lot of AI now can be used in L&D. L&D is where I can develop personalized learning paths, right? So it is not like traditional way of L&D where there are a lot of lectures which are out there and there's a class which is out there, and everybody is being given the same kind of content. Okay. Now with AI, what I can do is I can tailor-made learning paths, which means I can pretty much custom make something basis your level, your background, your preferences, your style, and all that. Okay, I can make a learning development path in such a way which is very customized, which is very personalized to your style. So this is where it can really impact L&D. Okay, and then going for, I think, retention and growth. Okay, so I think one big area of growth is about understanding employees, engaging them. So can I create personalized incentives? Okay, so not everybody needs the same thing, right? Somebody get attracted by, let's say, a car, okay, maybe for something big, okay, or somebody else needs something like, say, fatherly care or parental care, or I don't know. Okay, so traditionally the way we should design policies, incentives, perks were more generalized, but now with the AI coming in, we can pretty much tailor-made these perks and incentives, okay, for employee growth. Definitely we can hear voices of employees, like similar to how we hear voice of customers. Here with AI, with sentiments, with a lot of messages, a lot of signals out there, we can hear, understand what employees are saying and take decisions basis that, right? A lot of grapevine discussions, a lot of conversations which are floating on social media, a lot of other discussions which are happening. I can pretty much capture everything and understand what my employee need, and I can actually take decisions and then take it further. Okay, so I think retention is another area where predictive analytics is used. I pretty much know that some talent, okay, which is really high performing to me, which is valuable to me, and the person is leaving because of this reason. Okay, and once I know that intelligence, obviously there is a way I can retain the candidate. Okay, so I think AI helps there as well. Okay, so I'll just touch upon few problems I think everybody, all HRs and all HR leaders, right, are facing, right? So bias in recruitment. Okay, so while recruiting, we look at the name of the person, we look at the gender, we look at the background. There are a lot of things which we look into. So there is definitely that bias which gets into it, right? So what AI can do is AI can pretty much eliminate all that. I just remove the name, it removes everything else, okay, from there, and it anonymize the entire thing, and it also helps me screen the candidates. Okay, so and it just looks at projects, it looks at a lot of things where the demand of the job or the role is, okay, essentially. So with AI, I can remove literally all that biases which are out there. Definitely there is other side of bias in AI itself, okay, which is like a side effect. But I think that's like with every technology there will be like two sides. But the bias which is out there, which I think can be eliminated to a large extent with AI. Yeah, I'll just roll it. Okay. So standardized, I think I've already covered this part where standardized learning and development paths are getting into personalized ones. Also this one, yeah. And I think retaining employees. So I think for me, high performing and potential talent is so important to be retained. And with AI coming in, I can understand soft signals, a lot of other signals, and predict attrition and really retain talent. Okay. So I think this is what I had to talk about. I think I'll take up more in our Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are some aspects that you covered which, as I said at the beginning of the conversation, that while we are discussing the larger feats of AI in this room in the business, but for the Q&A and the panel discussion, we will focus ourselves to the aspects of HR, and that's, I think, what the audience is looking forward to. Let's move on to the next step now. Now, I would request our speakers to kindly take on the dais over here. Okay, for all online participants, once again, if you have any questions as we discuss this live in this room, please post your questions on the chat box, and we will take those questions later. So the first question is already answered. So everybody has taken their quick dig at the Slido. Which industry sector do you belong to? Clearly, we have a very, very diverse audience over here. Very interesting. If you can turn back and see the screen. Okay, that's quite diverse. Wonderful. Now, quickly moving on to our panel discussions. This is the question that would be flashing on your Slido. What do you all guys think in this room? Can AI-driven tools help mitigate unconscious biases in recruitment? Okay. We want responses from everybody. People are still trying to figure out. Clearly the maybe section is increasing now. Okay, unconscious biases. I am sure all of you know that there are some bias in the recruitment. And all of us keep retraining ourselves and the hiring managers to get over it, but it's still there. Okay. That's the trend that the room is showing. Now let's move on to the question. This is a question for my panel speakers, and I would request this question to be taken by Mr. Mukesh. So I'll read out the question. And a part of it we've just touched, that with the access to AI tools and the democratized data, how does the war for talent in the age of AI looks? Can AI blend well with the human intelligence? Well, there is still so much that is incredibly important with regard to the gut feel and the culture fit of talent. Okay, the real question over here is, Mukesh, that while the AI has this power to look at all the profiling of the Cs that is coming, how does it really draw a balance between the intelligence and the ability of the hiring manager when they rely on the gut, as the Jackal said it, from the gut, the decision making and the culture fit? Can AI give a solution over here? Is that possible?
Very good question. So there are three types of hiring we normally do. One of them is probably very at the junior level, where we just want somebody to come and do it. Second one is more skill based, wherein we want the skill expert, and then evaluation has to be done from the skill. But more important, which has the biggest impact, a very small number, but biggest impact, is the senior leadership. And that's the place where I would still say gut plays a very good role. I've been working on some of the R&D, done some development of some of the algorithm to be able to see how best we can empower the decision maker. In addition to the gut, what else you can find out? For example, cultural fit. I was interviewed a few years back for a role, before joining Capgemini, for a role in Noida. I'm not going to name the company, but very good company. All of them, everything was cleared and everything. The hiring manager kept saying that, Mukesh, I'm still not sure. You are from Mumbai, you have worked in outside India and all. I was still not sure whether you will be able to be comfortable moving to Delhi. I was not planning to move. I told him I will be working remote. But working with people from Noida, Delhi region would be a different thing. Okay? I don't think AI can identify those very well. At least not now, unless we train the model with those. So definitely, there are three elements we have to bring in. The AI can actually look at it and then ignore some of the bias we may have regarding the gaps, especially gaps with for some of the females, where they take into family, right? And those gaps, sometimes people take it negatively, which is really bad. So those bias humans have, which we definitely can eliminate. At the same time, the research has shown that people hiring senior level, senior leadership people, they'll try to hire people of their similar type. Now, type it can be different models are there and all, right? Type, I'm not promoting any one of the two model, but yes, people will like, अरे मेरे जैसा होना चाहिए. Like the person should be like me, the person should be aggressive like me or something. And very few people will come to say, no, I want to have somebody who can compliment me, right? So definitely those things are there. But if you put all of them as a requirement, then you'll get a person like that. But AI will not be able to recommend that is this senior position, how we can, which type of person will be right suitable for you. I think those are the places where I still think a human gut will play a big role. AI can assist them to narrow down the profile. Find out the people who have done these kind of things from their profile and then give me the list. They can do that manual job first. But after that, interviewing them 10 people, selecting one, still have to be from gut, I would say.
Any perspectives from fellow speakers?
Yeah, I think I can go back to my first slide that human is not a resource. And if we use human as a resource, then there was no gut feel in the past also. Because if we are just blaming AI that AI may not give us the gut feel, the humans being used as a resource also never had a gut feel, they just did a transactional job. So in future, AI will not replace humans, but AI will replace people who don't use AI. So the gut feel still plays a role. Gut feel still will be most important. What AI is going to help is to improve productivity and give assistance on areas where we may not remember everything. And that's the reason I covered in my presentation how the transformer works, that it is being trained on historic data, and not every individual human can remember a magnitude of information we have. So AI can assist in increasing productivity. Gut feel is still a human work and will remain till this earth in existence.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think I just want to build on this, okay? I think hiring is a very critical decision which any HR manager leader will take, right? Depending on the seniority of the position, that role or hiring decision itself is important, okay? So I think Mukesh rightly said, right? At mid to obviously senior level is where hiring decision really matter, okay? So just look at the current scenario. So what I understand is if you don't have AI, no technology out there, you look at some signals, you look at the background, you look at the profile, but there are definite number of data points any human can do. But with AI coming in, definitely that canvas can go much bigger. Okay, we can look at 200 data points, softer signals, non-softer signals, technical. There are various aspects, right? So all of that, that is available on your platter. Okay, so it is. AI is helping you broaden that horizon, understanding more kinds of signals. Obviously, everything is coming on your table with very high amount of intelligence and visualization of that. And definitely it is assisting you. Okay? It is not saying that, obviously you have to use gut, you have to use some bit of your conscience, right, to take that decision. But I would say it is more like taking informed decision. Okay, so I think this is how AI will be used. It will make you more productive, more efficient. Your decisions will be more data oriented overall, and then I think hopefully you'll take wiser decisions.
Thank you so much for the perspectives. Before I summarize the note, let's see what the friend says. The chat GPT. Okay. So I think he politely agrees and some part is not in agreement. It clearly says AI can be a valuable tool in addressing unconscious bias. It's not the panacea, and human oversight is still necessary to ensure that AI systems are working as intended and not perpetuating new forms of bias. So I think he is trying to follow the political feeds pretty well. So it claims for its glory, but is pretty guarded. Okay, so to summarize what our panel speakers have just now said, I think that's what the audience poll also was. While many of you are not very sure, culture fit possibly at this stage, especially at the senior level, it may not be something that is fully addressable through an AI, and it's only time will tell that we start nurturing that AI as the elephant or the monster in the room, how much of it can take from us. And thank you again reminding all of us, Anand. Human is a function, human is a talent around, it is just not a resource. It uses a resource like AI and like others to magnify the possibilities of success and productivity. Moving on to the next question. If in the audience we have questions, please take a note of it. At the end of the Q&As with the panel members, we will have direct interactions with them. The next question is, do you feel the agenda of personalization of employee experience can be addressed by technology? Here is personalization. In the session in the morning, we spoke about the empathy, the connect, the communication. So the upswings and the downturns in the business, they're best addressed by having formidable communication channels with the team and personalized engagements with them. 10 seconds more. A lot of people are still thinking whether I should respond or not. A time will come, AI will detect that also. And in this room, Geo will have those task lights placed, It will put a flash on them. They're yet to respond. Okay, so clearly this is a divided lot over here. As you can see, not many people are very bullish about it. So Anand, this is the question. Josh Burson, a global industry analyst, says turnover is so painful with this job market that companies are realizing I have got to take better care of my people or else I can't grow. In your view, how can AI-powered virtual assistants contribute to employee engagement, which is a long-standing crisis for human capital leaders? Does it really help?
So, while I run an AI company, I don't believe strongly that AI can help you in this area. We need to again go back to the basics of artificial intelligence, and as we just talked about, that this is particularly the generative AI is useful for wins worker. People who work with words, images, numbers, and sound. Human management, or as you talked about empathy or engagement or retention, is not a wins work. So there can be some tools which can assist you in doing some part of it. I have a very strong opinion that retention is an area which is again a human area, and artificial intelligence may assist you in creating some documents or reports, but it has to be the culture, the values, the growth, the compensation, all those standards, and I don't need to preach this august group of HR professionals what is required to retain. That will continue to go, because again, humans are not robots or resources which can be managed by AI.
Wonderful. Mukesh, you spoke about something that you have tried to attempt over here, which gives some prediction.
Yeah, it does that. In fact, very, very important part. But then if you totally rely on employee feedback about what is important for them, we always get averages. Averages will lead to average people. We don't want averages, right? So instead of doing that, right, one of the things which I always do, like at some point I managed a very large team at companies at Microsoft, at given Capgemini and all. And that time where I maintained very small team. But irrespective of that, the one-on-one which I have with each of the employees is very, very important. Can AI replace that? I don't think so. But important part is what ticks that person. Somebody wants, hey, I want just innovation. I want to do a lot of big stuff. And some people say, hey, you know what? I just want money right now. Some people say, hey, I just want work-life balance. Very interesting. Work-life balance. Microsoft used to always have a low score. Low score because everybody was working hard. Low score. Low score because the definition of work-life balance was 8 hours. Which I don't believe that, by the way. I might be wrong, but I'm an HR person, so I changed the definition. And the definition was as defined by you. Each of the employee define your definition of work life. And by the way, my definition of work life is when my work needs me, I am there. When my family needs me, I am there. And that's my work-life balance. Irrespective whether I'm working midnight or 2 a.m., it doesn't matter to me. So which means my work-life balance is good. I want to take a time off. Yes, I can take time off and done. I've taken time off from 6:30 p.m. every day till 10 during the pollution. That's my work-life balance. And I'm allowed to do that fine. Yes, that's work-life balance, right? So if we try to target each one of those things, can AI help that? Yes, now it can help us because we are now able to capture these silent signals. Silent signals from LinkedIn, silent signals from Facebook, where we see Capgemini employee, how are they reacting to certain posts? What matters to them? For Gen Z, some of them purpose matters. So understanding those parts and then creating more personalized packages for them, rather than saying, hey, everybody get the same package. No, you are doing some customized package. I think that helps you there. So I can tell you that AI is not dictating those, but we are using AI to help us achieve that even faster than that. So yes, it is still early stage. I would say maybe 1%, 2% of we are using AI, but I think there's a good potential to get there. But yes, human interaction still need to happen. AI cannot replace that.
Wonderful. You want to add something?
Yeah, so I think definitely what Mukesh said, and just want to augment that. Okay, so there is a degree of segmentation, I would say, not personalization, especially for larger companies, right? Where interaction with everybody individual is not possible. So we're talking about large companies where definitely AI will help in at least understanding, bucketizing, segmentizing, essentially group of people, and giving out incentives, a lot of things that we give out. Okay, so I think in those kind of situations, definitely AI is very helpful. But maybe for a smaller setup, not so big company, I think one-on-ones. So I think one-on-ones are not going anywhere. Okay, it is going to be there, but think about situations when one-on-one were also not possible, like with 25,000 or company. Okay, where AI will actually help you to segment, group of people and give out offers and incentives and whatever, okay, possible with that. So I think AI definitely has usage, maybe in specific scenarios, and employee experience definitely is going to be better, more personalized, not personalized to one individual, but it could be personalized to a group of people. Okay, that's how I see it getting into. Okay, but definitely very helpful, I would say, overall in building and in an enriching employee experience. Yeah.
So Vikash, if I may steal 15 seconds, your question is that will a virtual assistant engage the employees more? It is a productivity tool. It need not engage. Okay, because again I repeat and go back to the same broken record that it has to be a human connection. So I just want to qualify the question and the answer to it. That tools, retention, prediction, for example, just a use case for those who may not know, I am personally working with a large telecom company in predicting who is likely to leave. And we are at 97% accuracy that we can predict who is likely to leave. But that doesn't retain. Okay, that can give signals as Mukesh and Vaibhav talked about. But in order to engage employees, AI-powered chatbot can be an engagement tool, can improve productivity, can give response times, but according to me, may not be an engagement tool.
Yeah, totally agree.
Thank you so much. Before I summarize the notes, I think for this one, again, we asked a friend. This is what it says. From an AI perspective, technology can play a significant role in addressing the agenda of personalization of employee experience. Personalization in the workplace involves tailoring various aspects of the work environment, including task, communication, learning, and support to meet the unique needs and preferences of individual employees. Quite guarded again.
And
So this is
Vikash, if I may comment for the audience who is reading your guest comments, these are probabilistic and generative in nature, need not be accurate.
Good one.
So there you go. So clearly that means while we will rely more and more on the data-driven intelligence that possibly these tools may throw, but there is no replacement to the human touch and the interactions that is needed. So the long-standing crisis that we are speaking of, I think, remains a long-standing one in near future as well. So let's brace ourselves. Anyways, we are in the session of future scope. As we try to make our future more formidable, this is one area that we need to collectively work. Moving on next. Well. This is one that keeps most of us awake, occupied. It's a never-ending agenda, though it's supposed to be time-bound, but it happens around the clock and the year. The performance management. To what extent you use technology in your organization for performance management? Ten seconds more. Well, I think these numbers speak pretty loud over here. Okay, I did not say anything. Let me move on to the question straight away. And this is a question, Weber, for you. And I know that we have been talking, you have been doing some work here.
Yeah.
So what big shift do you foresee as AI start to change the landscape of performance and productivity agenda in organization?
Okay,
What are
so
the things in performance and productivity management that AI is contributing?
yeah, so I think performance management definitely is very big and a very important decision. I think for any hiring HR, sorry, not hiring, but HR manager out there, right? So understanding the performance of a employee and managing it, right? The managing in terms of creating personalized learning development path. So I think first part of it is about understanding the performance. Where is there an impact, right? So obviously understanding those impacts, right? Whether the contribution of an employee has been covered in some media, okay. It's a softer signal, but I think that talks about how much impact has been made. Okay, so I think as HR professionals, what we try to do is we try to measure the impact of the performance which is made. Okay, so I think we are no longer living in that world where we're talking about contribution more in terms of time, but I think it is mainly about the impact, right? And the impact analysis can definitely be understood by looking at various signals out there, whether it is internal or external, right? So it is not just about the client or the customer, what the employee was dealing with, or the output which has gone, but there are a lot of people, okay, out there, like your peers, your second level connections, okay. And so I think understanding the impact of the work, right, from them and collating them in and using them to really analyze the performance of a candidate or an employee is somewhere AI can be definitely used. And I think basis the performance I can pretty much custom made, the learning development part. So some areas where the performance has not been good, and really I want to build a career path for that. I think AI can assist in that as well. Okay, so I think we are seeing this. Already started seeing shift, and I've been working in that area. And I think, as I said, right, it is not going to replace anything, but I think we'll start seeing the impact of it more and more. Okay, and I think I would hope with this, the performance management reviews will be more rational, more data driven, and it'll also lead more satisfaction ultimately. Yeah.
Hopefully. I think Mukesh can possibly throw some more light on this because he's part of very, very large enterprise. And this is one conversation which becomes pretty sticky.
Yes, so productivity is a very interesting area, and my first interaction for that major interaction was 2004, where I was implementing some processes for Microsoft Hyderabad, which was just being set up, and I was leading some of the initiative there. And I found, of course, I was on a technical side, but one of the important part to notice was productivity. Instead of looking at numbers and lines of code, looking at the end product of it, right? So the first book which I wrote was all about that, how we made the change in the culture at Microsoft of being responsible for what we do. For example, like one of the phrase which I promoted that time, big time, was, I'm big into the phrase, right? As I mentioned, jack of all trades, all those phrases, right? One other thing was, if somebody else can find a mistake, why can't you yourself find it? The major challenge with the technology company for the software they write is defects, quality defects. So I've done a lot of research. People in manufacturing, you may be aware of the Pokayoke concept. I love Pokayoke concept. If you search for me, I published several papers and all, and I tried to promote in Microsoft Pokayoke. I miserably failed. Failed, why? Because I was using the word Pokayoke. I changed it to the actual meaning of Pokayoke, which is mistake proofing, and I was successful, right? Manufacturing, यहाँ पे नहीं चलेगा. In English, they wish to say that. But यहाँ पे, we change it, right? So one of the things which I found in productivity is the mirror. Instead of you deciding what the productivity should be, give the mirror to each of the employees. I can guarantee you 20% productivity ऐसे आ जाएगा. I'll give my UPI address, you can pass on some of the savings you get from there, okay? The productivity part, the last part on productivity, people always look at the work done by the person and often forget the mentors, the person who were enabler, the leaders who were enabler, right? So we started this program at Microsoft also, and even at Capgemini, I'm doing this program, right? Recognizing and rewarding those people as well who are enabler, because when you enable it, the person will go longer in terms of productivity and all. I think those are the things we were able to do, and we saw significant improvement in the productivity, especially by reducing the defects. So while it was not a technology solution, it was all about showing them the mirror. And the same phrase, if somebody else can find a mistake, why can't you yourself find it? And by the way, I implemented that on my daughter and my son. This is my lab, right? A home lab. I experiment all of those things on my lab. And my daughter came first in 10th grade, and her name comes in Times of India. Same logic.
Oh.
Why, if somebody can find mistake, why can't you yourself find? So that is a part of thinking about productivity. Yes, AI can help you. AI can help you show the mirror faster. And the more AI we use, the productivity will definitely will increase significantly. Yes, I'm not big fan of copying, but yeah, if it's a mundane task, I would rather have AI do it for me.
So, Vikash, your question is that what is the shift in the agenda for the organization? The shift I see in US, Japan, and India, where I work prominently, is upbringing of GRC, which is governance, risk, and compliance. Now, these three words are very important in terms of organizational shift, which is happening in the agenda for the leaders, whether it is human or people managers or even the CEOs or COOs. And this is the GRC is particularly applicable for wins worker. And as Mukesh was saying, that yeah, if you can use productivity tool, improve your productivity, that's fine, but it should be in the framework of governance, risk, and compliance. Because I'm a software company, and if one of the software programmer uses a large language model to write a code, copy paste into my main program, and tomorrow there is an intellectual property lawsuit, there is a huge risk to organizations. So the shift in the agenda in every boardroom now discussion is around GRC. What is the governance structure you have? What are the risks for your wins worker to use AI, and how you are going to comply with it?
Thank you so much. I think clearly we all in the room realize that AI has a significant impact. I think from the typical HR stack perspective, also we see a lot of technological interventions happening in the performance management. While most of us in this room have not really endorsed that view from an adoption perspective, possibly. Maybe we do have HR tech stacks with us, but to what extent they're adopted is a real question. And with the AI coming as a layer on it, I think the problem only widens because the adoption is the real issue over here. Thank you so much. I think we'll skip. AI speaks the same thing. We don't have time for AI now. We're moving. Okay. That's the next question. And we'll move a little quickly because we are running short on time. So what's your current HR tech tool provide usable HR analytics that your leaders value? Okay, please answer the question carefully. Does your current HR tech tool provide usable analytics that your leaders value? It means you may be very happy about it, but your leaders don't see any value in it. So it is not fueling any kind of decision making and appreciation for the work that you do.
I got my next idea for my startup. Competitor, I already have a competitor. Good, maza aega.
Yes. Okay. Well, the question is pretty straight. Do you believe that the AI-powered analytics can uncover insights beyond traditional tools to transform HR? And what does the journey to predictive analytics and HR automation through AI looks like? Want to take?
Yeah, Vikash, I can take it. When we use the word analytics, it's about what happened. When it comes to AI, it tells you what will happen and what to do. So the question can be split into two parts. The analytics which we are doing for ages now generally told us what happened. Somebody left, somebody resigned, somebody did something, so all about past. The AI is definitely going to help you tell better past, but the AI should be actually used for what will happen and what to do. And yes, these are the two areas for HR professionals. There is an enormous opportunity for using artificial intelligence, not on traditional analytics because it's all about what happened, but for what will happen and what to do. And it can be cross-sectional. We talked about retention, productivity, recruitment, resignations. So your incoming, existing, and outgoing employees, you can take that and apply what will happen and what to do, and AI can really give you a big assistance.
Thank you so much for those insights. I'll quickly move on to the question, which is to what extent are you willing to adopt tools like ChatGPT and other generative AI tools for your organization? Okay, so this is a trick question actually. So it's not to what extent you are interested, but if you read the question that I'm going to put to the panel members now, you will realize what's the intent behind this question. Okay, while we don't see any strong sentiments over here, it's sometimes only, few often. This is a question a while ago, Anand, you mentioned specifically, the governance. So as per a study of Stanford and MIT, it says that the AI boosted workers' productivity by 14%, and those who use it will replace those who don't. It's a very strong and a bold statement. So that means there is a clear case of the AI coming in and disrupting our work in some or the other way for sure. Now the big question in the room is how organizations need to manage the responsible AI to address the challenges of ensuring valid data sources, data quality, security, privacy, ethical and the legal frameworks. I think this is where the real game is in terms of to what extent can we allow this particular thing to permeate into the fabric of the work. And I would be keen to listen to the perspectives of all my speakers over here. It's a big debate, yeah, please.
The use of AI is no more optional. Okay, so I think bad news for second, third, fourth answerers, that really you don't have choice. And as Vikas said, and this question answers, and I summed it into 3 words, that particularly the human resource department has a huge responsibility of putting the governance, risk and compliance structure in every organization. And the ethical use of AI is one of the most important topic which every business leader, every organization, every HR person or every individual. For example, we just secured a deal with a law firm, and while we were serving their employees, the managing partner of the law firm said, "Oh, we don't use generative AI. We are a very, very ethical company." But when we started surveying the paralegals and little junior people who are working on cases, naturally all the summarization was done by ChatGPT in their organization. So it is very serious issue where the education on AI is most important. Its use of ethics is very important. The plagiarism, the content being projected as drafted by you or any output, every organization has to have the governance, risk and compliance structure. So it is important because you cannot avoid using this technology, and you should not. Every business should make best use of it, but under a GRC structure.
Yeah, so right now, of course, we are last 9 months, we have heard about ChatGPT and we are using it. Even though generative AI has been there for 20 years, I've been using it one form or the other. Generative, the RNN part, reinforcement learning, like combination of all those, we were able to use it in the past. But now, why ChatGPT? What is the benefit? Yes, you're getting something output faster. But if you look at the bigger portion, right, of AI, GRC has to be done, no doubt about it, without which definitely we should not move forward. But good to do some R&D, good to understand about what all things possibly we can do. Okay, now especially with employees and everything, right, what are the tasks which they do which is can be automated? Now the challenge of GRC, which is plagiarism or IP infringement and everything, Microsoft is already coming up with the enterprise version of that, which means it will be local to you, local to the enterprise. Maybe that is even better for that. So one of my friends' company is a textile company, right? And they wanted to do some new designs and all. And the question was, can we use ChatGPT? We said, yes, you can do ChatGPT for, of course, the variant of ChatGPT is similar to that. But I said, you know what? We can do it slightly better than that. So going back to the basics of AI and building something out of that, it worked for them. The new designs and everything, it worked for them. Similarly for manufacturing. What are the ambient conditions for doing manufacturing? I'm not from a manufacturing person. I'm not there, right? But yes, does oil viscosity mentioned matters? Does the humidity matters? The temperature matters? Yes, it matters. And once you try to build those parts, so each one of our company have those assets, have those data available. So you can build your own generative AI on top of it as well. Of course, leveraging some other thing outside. So the ideal solution is do some R&D and look for a future part of it, but not always you have to go with a SaaS solution wherein you are sending your internal data outside for a tool to evaluate and come back to you. Yes, I know, I'm a digital person, I've done all the SaaS offering and everything, but some data like HR data, way too sensitive, don't want it to go out, right? So we do this balance around those. And the last part around those, technology will always continue to evolve. Right now we are talking about ChatGPT and we think AI is done, right? There are a lot more things. I still think we are probably 2 or 3% of the benefit of AI we can leverage, but a lot more can be done further. So maybe investment in those areas, understanding how do we capture each of the behavioral data, each of the internal data, and then build something out of it would be the future probably.
Just want to add, okay, I think all the enterprises are going through this flux. Obviously, there is no single answer. And still we are working, governments are working on regulations, right? So overall regulations, what country has and then specific companies should have, okay? So I think this is getting into that area. Definitely enterprises have a lot of proprietary data which they don't want to send out, okay? So we will see definitely some enterprise specific LLMs coming very soon, wherein there will be a lot of protection in terms of what data is being fed in this and what is the data which is inserted by users in that occasionally. So I think all that will be protected. And I think with a strong GRC framework which is out there, these all things will be taken care. Yeah.
It's just one thing to add here before we forget. In US is already a law. If we are taking decision based on AI, we are supposed to disclose it, right? In India, hopefully the version 2 of data protection law will include that as well, hopefully, right? So yes, at some point we will have to do the disclosure. Yes, this content, this decision was made because of AI. That disclosure will have to come in.
Yeah, I was just hoping that somebody will use that word, disclosure. You know, with the stringent measures of governance, and those who manage the business firsthand in this room would realize that the new set of metrics that have come in terms of the business responsibility reporting and compliance reporting structures are very, very bullish about it, and it's only a matter of time, as you rightly pointed, possibly the disclosures of this area would come. And governance is something that dictates the sustainability of an organization, and AI is a power to sustain. Thank you so much. With the questions that we had decided, I am skipped some because we have some interesting questions that from the audience. While they are slightly repetitive, but it's important that we ask these questions. So what measures should be taken to ensure AI systems are transparent and accountable? This is the question from the audience. The live audience, the question is, what measures should be taken to ensure AI systems are transparent and accountable?
Yeah. So, very good point. I would say the simple answer is picture abhi baki hai. So there are a lot more things to be done here. Transparent, yes. The ethical AI, we're talking explainable AI will make it transparent, no doubt. I think we are there to a greater extent. Accountable? I don't think so. You cannot just say, मैं क्या करूँ? AI ने बताया answer, तो मैं क्या करूँ? You cannot say that, right? So AI need to be accountable, which means the company will be accountable, whoever is using the model, and the repercussion of this, the impact of this, the company will be held liable and not the AI model. But how can we make AI, again, it's just a software, how can we make liable? But yes, there are companies, there are startups who actually analyze those parts and then give the score, how much ethical score this is, which means, does the AI have bias? AI have bias. Several examples are there. If you were referring to those parts, right? In hiring, bias is there. AI also have bias, but that bias is generated because we fed wrong data. We fed biased data, and that's why they get biased, right? But yeah, you cannot just say the AI has given the output. There are companies which will evaluate those and then tell the fairness score, the bias score, and all. And hopefully that will be made accountable. But again, accountability will come to the company and not to the AI.
Wonderful. I think you just utilized some predictive analytics to figure out the next question that an audience had asked. Okay. It was exactly in terms of that, how can you possibly address the potential bias and discrimination that may arise from AI algorithm? You just said, it's not the bias of the AI algorithm, it's my bias which has just been over there. It's I populated that bias onto the system.
So just a one note over that, the bias, in fact, it is much bigger challenge right now because since it is a new area, nobody is testing the algorithm. People are just creating the algorithm, getting the output and showing it, not fair testing and all, which software have matured over a period of 30 years. But AI probably is still very early stage. So the testing, validation has to come, certificate need to come, and then we can say, yes, it has been tested for bias and all. Hopefully that will come. Yes.
Yeah, sure. I think bias is definitely a big problem. Amazon has a problem with hiring, essentially, when they use hiring model, right? Yeah. Yes. So it is about like how they have built the model itself, right? So that kind of data they've used, it is, if it is more male oriented, obviously it will have a bias towards that. Okay. So I think human bias is one, okay, but when we are using AI, which model, what training data, all that, okay, will play a big role in removing those biases. Okay.
Now the floor is open to any questions from our live audience over here. If you have any questions, please. Oh.
Hi, thanks for the insightful discussion. So there's a very specific question related to talent hiring as well as talent management. Now, many organizations, especially for the leadership hiring, we use a lot of psychometric tools. Hogan is one of such, and we heavily invest in procuring those tools, then debriefing, etc., etc. Where do you see AI contributing in some of those personality or leadership assessments, which is very, very personalized for a candidate, and then, of course, help organizations to cut down on that cost?
So I can take a first shot at it and then pass it on to, but a few years ago, I coined a concept called digital body language. Now, digital body language is a new term which you all human resource management executives should look at it, because in the digital world, you are not meeting someone physically trying to understand the traditional ways you went on recruiting. So to answer your question, the AI is going to play an important role onto it. And how I wanted to convert that from digital body language is, if I have a self-authored text, because how do you judge someone? How do you get that gut feel? Your body language, your gesture, how did you dress up, how you are answering is, how confident you are. Interestingly, this gets translated into your authoring something. Now this authoring can be a blog I'm writing, a Facebook post, a tweet, or speech like this, or you are going to presentation. All that is recorded and converted into text. The AI models can create now 52 traits of human personality, which is called human persona. And you can get weighted onto those 52 parameters in terms of how is your curiosity, how is your consciousness, how is your altruiveness. So it is going to help. And yes, in recruitment particularly, understanding the human traits through digital crumbs is going to be a big way, and there's a lot of research going on, and already many organizations like the Hogan tools, they do use behind the scene. But again, remember, these are all based on language and text and not based on anything else. And it automatically generates the parameters, and it's very real, very good tools and very good technology to use.
Yeah, so I think my perspective is like psychometric test is good, I think. So what will happen with AI is there'll be a lot of other tools which you'll also have, right, to analyze a personality. There are popular frameworks like MBTI, Big Five. I use MBTI framework to analyze personalities. Okay, so which will also come into play. So along with your psychometric test, you will also have array of other tools at your disposal. And then what AI will do is AI will collect, okay, inputs and signals from all of that and give you intelligence on top of it. Okay, so it's like amalgamating various other signals and also giving you more intelligence. Okay, so that you can finally take a right hiring decision. Okay.
Yeah, let's just add one point. You can use any tool. They're definitely using a lot of AI behind that part. But the only part is, you use the tool, you took a decision. Log that decision in your database separately. Either the decision was right or the decision was wrong. That itself will give you some insight that yes, is it really working for us or not? I don't think anybody else can be a better judge than this part of it. But yes, the important part to notice also is lost opportunity, which means you took a decision that not hiring this person. Okay, and what did that person doing that? 2008, I built that system at Microsoft. Lost opportunity. We found out a lot of good opportunity, a lot of good people. We lost it because we chose to decide not to hire those people. But these people were working for Google and all as a competitor. Same example for WhatsApp, and they were trying to go to Twitter and Facebook to be acquired, and those examples are there, right? So I think if we start capturing that information, whether my decision was right or wrong, over a period of time, you'll have enough data to say that whether it's working or not working.
Wonderful insights.
Thank you, panel, for sharing your expertise. I wanted to know then how do we prevent AI hallucination in that case? I mean, you spoke about the governance. If you could just share a little more insights there. Thank you.
Definitely AI hallucination is a right word. And first time I'm hearing this, but I totally agree and relate to that. That everybody and anybody and everybody want to say, hey, I want to do AI and everything. And in a lot of cases, without knowing it, I've conducted so many leadership workshops for several of the companies that focus 10 people, 20 people workshop on what AI really is, right? Some of the theoretical aspect was already covered. But in the practical sense, what those are, and then start using it. Don't expect AI to solve all your problems. In fact, it would not, right? But yes, instead of just being hallucination, definitely doing some POC, quick POCs, validating those parts, partnering with people will be important. But most important, have knowledge for, I use the word, I know some people may not agree with that word, but I use a word called data literacy. Data literacy need to be known by all the executive first. They should be aware of what data mean, what AI mean, and then go for implementation rather than going blindly. That is what my recommendation would be.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, okay, for model hallucination, though this word I think might not be known to everybody. So I think hallucination means models do not work or output. You don't get reliable output all the times, right? ChatGPT gives you wrong output, out of context output, okay, sometimes. So I think a few recommendations, I think as a user, one is obviously to give right context, right? So if you give right prompt, which means you give bit of context. So don't be just write one line or two line, give it, explain it more, okay, like what your problem is, what your situation is. So a bit of contextual information is important. Definitely if there is some domain or specific information which has to be fed in, so there are algorithms like RAG, okay, technically, which actually help and fine tune the model further for your domain. Let's say you are in legal domain, okay, and obviously ChatGPT can hallucinate, let's say, for a specific problem, okay. So you need to augment, give right information and make it, and try to prevent this hallucination. But definitely you cannot eliminate it completely. But I think these are tools which can make the situation better, okay. Yeah.
I think it's an important question, so if you can extend 30 seconds for
Yes,
answer.
yes, of course, I
because
think, yes.
I think as Vaibhav was explaining, we need to understand what is hallucination. In my slide, I used the example cat sat on a mat. Now imagine there was no mat word in my training. So it is going to pick up zebra, because there is a more occurrence of zebra and zebra is a more score. So when we as a user say that it is hallucinating, it is very important to know that generative AI will always give you output. Okay. Now, how to reduce hallucination? In addition to what Mukesh and Webb already talked about, the first and foremost is the training. Okay. Particularly, again, you guys are using OpenAI or ChatGPT, but as you travel in your organization, you will have your organization specific LLM. Those will be trained on your organization content, and therefore there will be a word mat in my example. So if the mat word is there, it's not going to hallucinate. It will say cat sat on a mat. So you need to understand how generative AI works, how it generates the content, and as Weber talked about, putting the prompt, because generative AI creates similar content in context to prompt. That's the definition I told. So prompting is a new technique which all of us should learn, and creating the right prompt and having the right training content will reduce hallucination. As Weber said, will it eliminate? No. But therefore, there are now programming techniques on top of it to put some guardrails. For example, if the LLM starts hallucinating in my HR application and telling me something about accounting, we can find it, stop it, and not deliver it to the user. So those are the software techniques coming into the picture, but hallucination will continue. Hallucination can be reduced with the right training and right prompts, but you all must understand what is hallucination and why it happens.
So there are times, when we speak to the employee. So employee is, having a heart-to-heart discussion with HR. So I have initiated a small, mental well-being room for the employees, where the employee says, you know what, ma'am, I can't sleep at night. I don't have an appetite, or I want to buy a house and I'm not able to pay my car loan. So these are some personal issues when the employee, connects heart to heart to the HR. So I want two very important tips from you people. You are an expert in AI. How HR can be a super HR, a superman, using AI tool and helping the employee in these heart-to-heart discussions.
So I think Mukesh and Weber already covered it, but just one, I don't know how many of you have tried a tool named Pi, P-I. Have you tried it? If not, please make a note, download and try. This is sort of a new personal assistant which is just valued at about $5 billion. And there are now millions of users using it. As when I actually gave the answer of that the AI chatbots may not help you in engaging with the customers or engaging with the employees. The flip side of that, as I said, this can be a tool where many employees may not want to speak to someone. Okay, they may want to give it something anonymously. So there are various ways of trying to find out that through the AI tools. But again, the human element doesn't get replaced from it. And artificial intelligence can help you in understanding the tone, understanding sentiment, understanding keywords, understand, drawing the context, because I may not be very comfortable in saying, ma'am, I can't pay my car loan, but I may just say that, oh, I have some financial difficulty. Now, artificial intelligence can potentially help you in dissect that financial difficulty in terms of whether it is related to loan or whether it is to my less compensation. So there where you can use a lot of AI tools, but there is a lot of assistance coming for a organization specific trained large language model which can help you in solving some of those issues.
So my question to the panelists is that while we discussed about, the WINS workforce, kind of changing and the landscape changing in terms of what kind of people will be there, in the future, what are the kind of roles that we see coming up, with this changing landscape? Because we know that there are roles that are going to become redundant, but there are roles that are now coming up that we don't know about with the AI scene coming up.
So I think my perspective, so AI will not replace jobs, but it will replace, so AI will replace people who are not using AI essentially. So I think those are the roles, okay, where you will use more of AI is what will come in future, okay, essentially. So you will need to learn how to use AI effectively for your work is what will be under most demand. Prompt engineering is one, definitely, which means how to build prompt design and other stuff, but there will be many other roles which will help, which will actually need a very good use of AI essentially. Yeah.
I would still think, yeah, definitely those roles will be there, but I would still the bigger and biggest role will be product manager. Somebody who comes up with an idea of how to use these tools. That is something which is the weakest area for India, because we are born with saying apple ka color laal hai to laal hi rahega, right? Compared to in US, सोचो क्या करना है, बनाओ whatever you want to do, right? The Tare Zameen Par movie format, right? So yes, I still think product management is a very big role. That is something which will be biggest demand. People who can take risk, who can come up with the idea and so on, leveraging all the technology. The example I gave you about I left the airport and Uber knows that I left. It's not a data scientist job. It's a product manager who came up with the idea. If certain thing happened, then do this. That product management role is the biggest challenge in India. And that is the biggest role, I would say, not just in India, globally.
Thank you so much. I think we'll have to stop with the questions for now, and you can engage with the speakers as we break for lunch in a while. And now I request Mr. Ashish Arora to kindly come over and give a vote of thanks to our esteemed speakers. Sir, please.
Oh boy, what a session, last 2 hours, absolutely phenomenal. Mukesh said that when he was interviewing for CTO role at Capgemini, and his CEO said, when he said that I don't do sales in HR, and the CEO laughed, right? I think I from HR guy, I moved to a sales guy, so you'll pardon me because somebody raised a question or thought about use of psychometric. So I am a sales guy, so I've got to sell my company all the time. So if you're using psychometric, we have a great psychometric tools, array of tools. Please talk to Frania or Harshit in my company. They will see you outside for sure. I'm sure they're in the room, and we'll tell you what tools we sell. I had to do that, you see. Well, thank you very much, speakers, and thank you very much, audience. Lovely audience. What a great afternoon it's been. I asked ChatGPT as to how do I summarize this session, and it gave me several ideas as to how to summarize the session, by the way. I have not used Pi. I'm going to use Pi. Maybe I'll figure out how to use Pi tomorrow onwards, right? But, when we put this subject together, as Vikas was saying, taming the AI wave, a lot of people said, well, what are you talking about taming? We should talk about, is AI a boon or a bane? I said, well, that's history. Because there is no question of it's a boon or a bane, and I think all the three speakers have established very clearly that it is no more a boon or there's no question of boon or a bane. It's here to live. I mean, you have no choice but to live with it. And I think what Anand really rightly said, AI will not replace humans. It will replace humans who do not use AI. Very clear. So we have no choice but to use AI. Now, the ethics of it, we can, of course, talk about. And I think you rightly said it's not an option anymore. Even Weber said the same thing. It's not an option anymore. I'm not getting into too much of discussions of because we've already heard, and whatever we've recorded will be available on YouTube in some time from our side. But I think just picking up one or two key aspects that all the three speakers talked about, and I really liked the transition that Anand talked about from knowledge worker to wins worker. right? And I'm just thinking that would be a good idea for alternate profession for a lot of people here, because a lot of us, most of us are winds worker in this room, because we might lose jobs. So might as well become plumber, electrician, chef, good alternate jobs, guys, right? I mean, let's look for alternate options, because you know that will not be obsolete for sure. And the Mukesh Jain's knowledge of Bollywood, oh boy, I'm sure he will be on some TV show soon, which will be anchored by the famous Anu Kapoor. We'll talk about all the Bollywood dialogues and all of that. Oh, just absolutely awesome, Mukesh. While he's fasting and so on and so forth, following his production. But what a powerful, humor-filled, Bollywood dialogue filled, his comments. And the way he's talked about it, how AI is a curious child, right? And then data comes in all forms, whether it's active or passive. I think is so true. It's just that as human mind, we sometimes are not able to recognize that there is a data available. It's like he talked about that in Geo, hundreds and thousands of people are moving every day. It's about recognizing their data. And so true. There is data all over, all the time on our left and right. It's just that we're not able to recognize the data. And I think that's what AI is doing. And Vaibhav is really, to me, looks like one of those, one of those AI tech startup guys who's going to make a unicorn soon. I mean, the entire persona, Vaibhav, yours is such. His company is called Predixion, which is essentially predicting. And he actually had sent me a message yesterday that I predict there'll be close to 180 people in this room. And that's what we have. We're not talking about the online audience, of course, because we didn't tell him there's an online audience as well. Right, absolutely brilliant the way he talked about, and I'm so glad the way he mentioned, the very earthly that this is the HR people life cycle of an employee from attraction to serving. I'm very glad. This is the first time I've heard a word called serving, right? Because we all talk about talent engagement and very large management word, but his last thing said serving the people. Very beautifully put, right? And he said AI will make HR more productive. So there are a lot of people. In the morning I did mention this, that there is no business guy who can say I'm not an HR guy. Everybody is an HR person in this room. So whether you are a CEO, MD, chairman, or you are a HR professional, everybody is an HR person in this room. But absolutely brilliant comments. And the last one that they talked about hallucination, and I'm so glad that what he talked about, he said, how do we reduce hallucination from the AI? It's the generative AI creates content based on prompt. And I know I've seen it in the last few months that I've been using ChatGPT for various things. Depending on how specific you get, in terms of your problems or question, you get some really interesting responses from ChatGPT. Right? So here is the ChatGPT response to me when I asked the ChatGPT, what is my closing remark? So it says, well, use the famous science fiction author quote, and I'm just reading from ChatGPT, by the way, a fiction author called Isaac Asimov. His quotes goes like this: the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster, much faster than the society gathers wisdom. Look at that. He said, the science gathers knowledge much faster than the society gathers wisdom. I can only say that as human beings, as professionals in this room, as we continue our deliberations, right, in this forum or other forums, right, let's gather both knowledge and wisdom and become better and see how we can use ChatGPT or AI to live a more purposeful life. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I wish we had a little more diversity on this desk, but we'll figure out as we go next. We'll figure out. That how we add more diversity to our speakers. I'm going to request my colleagues Yogesh and Usha to honor the speakers with a memento from our side.
By the way, by the time, can I make a comment?
Of course. Who can stop you?
This is the first ever conference I have attended as a speaker where the organizers didn't force you to come on a pre-conference call to get ready for the presentations, didn't guide what to be presented. No question was told, at least to me. I don't know about two of you. Because generally the conference organizers get very paranoid that it may go out of control. So Vikash, Ashish, congratulations. Great job.
Thank you. I think Vikash and Ashish sir, I think for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. It's been really fascinating talking about and learning from peer panel members. Okay, and I think really enjoyed and grateful of you. And I am sure if anybody out here, right, who is looking for some help, I'm here. I will drop my contact number, and you can reach out to me for any help. Okay.
Absolutely great audience. What a patient listeners. I mean, it's crazy that we've been here 2 hours almost, and I kept sending messages to one of the Vikas's colleague on the side. I said, "Usko bolo thoda jaldi karega. Usko bolo koi ek question skip karega." But Vikas is Vikas. Isn't any audience attention? है पूरा. मैं तो जो सोचा पूरा करके जाऊँगा. Right, but thank you very much. Absolutely brilliant. You guys were so patient. I'm hoping everybody's taken some leaf of learning. All right, and AI is becoming part of our life. We have no choice but to live with it or figure out how do we tame it. All right, Yogesh and Usha, are you guys ready? Yes. So can we start with Anand? And we did ask ChatGPT as to what memento we present to our speakers, and it gave this as a response. It's telescope. Yeah, you can see the future with that. And Yogesh to Mukesh. Please, thank you very much, Mukesh, for being here. Leena is joining. Leena, my colleague director, is memento to Weber for being here. Thank you so much, Weber.